Hey everyone, Cynics here, and it's a brand new year, which means it's time to do a quick look back of the art I did the previous year. And spoilers, this will be quick because there's not that much to look at. If you don't know, I kind of took a bit of a break year from art. I didn't do any daily streams, I didn't really do much personal art, so obviously you might have seen in some of the previous videos during the year, I got more into meditation. I started going to the skate park a lot, and that was my kind of reintroduction to just being out and about in kind of group settings, outdoors, doing stuff away from computers. And I really enjoyed that. It's very refreshing. It's really made my life a lot more just kind of enjoyable and balanced, I'd say. So I guess just before I get started, I just wanted to mention that I recommend you all find some outdoor activity that you can partake in, ideally in a group situation. You don't have to know the people. I don't really know the people at the skate park. It's not like I'm going with friends, but there's a certain level of camaraderie and just kind of good vibes and friendly vibes where you can kind of just strike up conversations, kind of get a little bit of interactions here and there, cheer each other on, do stuff. And it's a very positive thing, community. I talk about it in the art world a lot, and it's very important to build your art community. But for a lot of us, our art community is primarily online. And there is a very important part of your life that requires you to have some just outdoor recreational community stuff that you can participate in. It doesn't have to be skateboarding, although, once again, it could be pretty good. You can get into roller skates, get on a scooter, get on a bike, I don't know, do whatever. But it does really benefit you and just kind of helps balance out your art life with something that feels very just fulfilling and healthy. And all of the meditation stuff is similar. I've talked about it a little bit, and I think Lightbox will put up the video of the talk I gave on it. Hopefully in the near future. It looks like they've just started to add some of the Lightbox 2022 Expo videos to the YouTube channel. So look at the Lightbox YouTube channel and hopefully they'll put that up. I'll definitely post a link to it when they do. But if you want to really deep dive into why I think meditation is valuable, I'm just going to leave it for that. I don't need to make my own video here. I will also just very quickly mention a little touching on the current situation with AI art and stuff. The reason I'm not I'm pretty vocal about it on Twitter and whatnot. But I think there's so many great videos about the topic. I'm very much in support of people like Steven Zapata and his wonderful video. Sam Yang, he did an amazing video about it as well. Obviously, the video I did on AI art from, I think it was at least a year ago, didn't age very well because in my brain, I didn't even think that AI art would just turn into a just collection of people's art that didn't want it collected and just trained on. I thought it would be more about the, design theory fundamentals of like shapes and how you interact with shapes. But I feel like AI art has completely just ignored that in favor of just the quickest, easiest, and kind of most exploitive way to make money. And I think a lot of people are the same way, where at first you were probably like, oh, maybe let's keep an open mind, let's see where it's going. And then the more you see what it wants to go and where it wants to go, you're just like, okay, never mind. You know what? You guys kind of seem like you're being a little scummy. So let's actually just focus on consent being an important thing and not worrying. Anytime there's a argument that worries about the levels of consent that have to be applied to something, that's not a good look, Consider that that's maybe not a good sign that your technology is going in the right direction if concept of consent is such a big deal. So anyway, having said all of that, let's just jump in there and start looking at the few things I do have. It's mostly just stuff from classes, class demos and things of that sort. But let's just see what we got. It's going to be a lot of random faces, as those are normally still my comfort zone warm-up thing. So on days where I'm at least sketching a little bit or maybe doing some little warm-ups before a class, It's usually just some silly faces and stuff. It's always been my comfort zone, and I just enjoy it because, it just creates personalities that are unexpected, and you can kind of have a lot of fun without planning ahead too much. I hadn't really decided I was going to take a break yet, so I was still kind of going strong for the first couple days. I don't know what this is, but maybe this does help highlight some of the stuff I was trying to experiment more with in terms of lessons and the ways to teach people how to paint. Because 2022 was definitely the year of soft edges and airbrushing. I talked about it in my self-portrait video. It's just so delightful, and just that very subtle mix. But anyway, it's got the flame shirt on. And some quick little practices of Earth World portraits. So Earth's World, of course, the best Instagram resource for looking up interesting faces, just all sorts of faces. So you can see it's just a fun resource for practicing very unique and very eccentric faces. And I think this one came out nicely. It's so overly simplified, this just round, very rounded box pill shape. I love that level of simplification. Just makes me happy when you can really distill the shapes of a face down to something extremely basic and primitive. So that was a lot of fun. And David Goes to Prom. I think I was still doing daily streams right at the start because all of these first ones are just during the first week of the year. The colors on this one, not good, not great, it could be a lot better. But yeah, this guy, I guess, working with colors. I think it's just organic test using that one-sided brush, seeing how much chaos you can get away with. But anyway, right at the start of the year, I guess it's important to talk about what my educational teaching history of 2022 was like. Because this was the first year where I did basically a whole curriculum of Brainstorm classes. And if you don't know, Brainstorm is just a online teaching kind of school, you could say. Much like any of the other ones, the CGMAs, Schoolisms, the Concept Design Academy, even stuff like Proco and Meds Maps and all that type of stuff, similar. Brainstorm is live online classes, but they have a ton of different kind of formats. Some of them are like 8-week, 10-week stuff. But the one that I'm obsessed with and that I really latched onto was this Flash courses, which are 5-week classes, so hyper condensed, but they also allow basically just huge class sizes because there's no individual critiques done during class, but it's been very, very fulfilling. I absolutely adore all of the students I had in that class for 2022. So many of them I just got to know from seeing them take all 4 of my classes throughout the year. And it was nice because it felt like a whole graduating class. They started at the beginning of the year. They took each class, so I got to see them throughout the entire year and watch them improve and see how they grew as artists. And not only that, just watching them form tight-knit little communities. Now they have their own little Discord, and they're just kind of, forming lasting friendships. And that stuff's honestly the best. I love that aspect of it. And it also lets me get into very niche topics that probably wouldn't really be effective as YouTube videos. So for instance, at the start of the year, I did my mech design class doing robots and stuff. And I really use it as an excuse with all my classes, honestly, to really just focus on random design theory principles. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, I'll post the link because I think the next class for 2023 is just coming up in just a couple weeks. So that's fun. It'll be the mech class to start things off again. But yeah, sorry. Once again, sounds like a big advertisement, but I'm just very excited about that format and to keep it going for as many years as I can. And this is a typical page of what doing little industrial warm-up looks like. It's not really planned out. I'm not trying to make anything specific. If you look at some of these things, who knows what they are? I don't know. It could be anything. Could just be a component to an engine of a giant thing. Doesn't really matter. It's just a kind of about practicing the feeling and aesthetic of stuff. So here's some that are a little more refined. You can see sometimes I start a little, you can see a little more looseness there, and then they get a little cleaner, a little bit of a thinner line, maybe exploring some actual little widgets and gizmos, all the little greebly stuff that actually becomes very fun. Ideally, I would have more of this in my comfort zone instead of just faces. But anyway, other comfort zone stuff may include weird, abstract, just painting experiments. And the reason I do these is very simple. They're just a great way to practice form rendering without any set goal. You know, sometimes if you're drawing faces, you're always doing the same form. You know, the form of the cheek, the form of the eye, the form of the forehead, going into all of those things. And you know, to practice a more diverse amount of organic forms, sometimes you just got to make a blob. Sometimes you just got to make a weird blob and just see if you can make it turn forms. Definitely fun to try. And this, now I remember, this was actually done with Ahmed Al-Dori. At the very start of the year, he came out to California. We went to a Tool concert, which was amazing. He gave me COVID. But we made a quick little painting. I think we only spent like 5 minutes on this. You can tell it's not finished. We were just like streaming together and like doing this in the background. So nothing finished, but still you can kind of figure out a cool concept that could be hidden inside this chaos. Hope he's doing well. And yeah, back to faces. Once again, silly faces, big chins, weird shapes, a lot of flow between the features. That's what I love to do. And, you know, getting accidental personality is the greatest thing in the world. More faces, mustache, big noses, bigger and bigger chins. We're just getting as big as we can with everything. Fun little feet stuff, more abstract stuff. This one actually looks like, when I look at it now, it looks like it could just be a goblin character. The ear needs to be shifted back if I am going to make it like that. But that wasn't the plan. I'm just looking at it now and saying what it could be. But you know, stuff like that. More industrial stuff. Really just trying to practice, you know, simple, effective shapes for industrial design components. And this was an actual class demo I did for the mech class. It was my little, I forget what I called him, but just a mech that, you know, has no general functional purpose in any particular field. But it just feels kind of fun. I'm a big fan of the just giant forearms, no matter the case. Just find a way to have the lower parts of the arms be huge or wide or long, make the upper arms really short. I find it amusing. Of course, I painted that one, gave him some Gucci boots as recommended by, dang it, I forgot the name and they're going to be mad. But one of the students in the Met class. But that was a lot of fun. I think this little panel piece right here could have used a little bit more of that pinkish purplish tone, but that's fine. I generally like the feeling of the reflectivity in some of these metal parts. So that was another part of the class demo, of course. It even says so. Mech Flash. Yeah, useless arms, Gucci boots. That's actually going to be the name of my autobiography, Useless Arms, Gucci Boots. But that's fine. So there's that. I was, you know, of course there's thumbnails for stuff. I think I recommended trying to do an underwater mech. I'm a big fan of like just submersible undersea mechs and things of that sort. So these ones are kind of inspired by kind of undersea mines as well as blowfishes and whatnot. I think I called it the blowfish, BF, yeah, blowfish. So I did a couple of those. Pretty okay. When I looked back at this one, though, I don't like the readability of this top part. And why don't I like it? Because this chunk is supposed to be coming forward, and I think I could render it out and make it look like it's coming forward. But it also just kind of has a little bit of a mimicking symmetry with this shoulder thing. And the shoulder is supposed to be back here. But, you know, it just kind of it feels off-center. It just doesn't quite read. I did do a couple more takes of it, though. I think those are in here. Yeah. So I tried to make that read a little bit better. Although now it just feels like some kind of beer belly mech. But I'm okay with that. You know what? It's got more details. In my head, I'm thinking, here's the single person variant, and I know you can't see it. I'm blocking a little bit with my face. But don't worry, it's the same as it is over here. But yeah, those are fun. I just like doing stuff like this. Industrial design, completely underrated by most artists. But I assure you, if you can find the fortitude in yourself to just hop into something that has a lot of perspective and straight lines and ellipses, which I know are very intimidating, but there's so much fun to be had. So those were good times. More thumbnails. I love doing thumbnails of mech stuff. Sometimes they go well, sometimes they don't. It's the big unknown of it all that kind of makes it even more fun. Now that I look at it, I kind of like what's happening over here. Oh man, oh wait, now I can just move stuff like that. I feel like this one could be pretty fun. He's got like a giant gun, a weird flattened kind of upper head part. That might have some potential to come back to some of these. I think I started the running mech last time. I still haven't narrowed down the ideas, but once again, I love big lower arms with like little upper arms. I don't know why. I find it very interesting. This thing feels like it could run fast if it had to. Throw a bunch of stickers on it and logos. So I believe after the mech class, because once again, these are very just based on classwork. I wasn't doing my daily streams, wasn't doing daily art. So the art I was doing was just related to classes. So I think this was the stylized portraiture class, if I remember the order correctly. So really just talking about, what goes into making good stylized portraiture. How can you really get the most personality out of faces? And really focusing on simple flowing shapes. More faces here. I like this one a lot. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because this cheekbone line, I used it for the nose as well. Which seems like, why would you want to do that? That seems stupid. But for whatever reason, I just like the overall effect it gave off when I saw it. I was just like, yeah, why not? The cheekbone, it's a single line all the way from the top of the head, around the forehead, straight down through the cheek and the bulb of the nose. That's a single line stroke. And I feel like it captures so much personality when I look at it. And yeah, quick little painting stuff, once again, from the class demo type things. I believe this was actually helping, this was helping one of the students kind of ideate some of their faces they were working on. So I was just doing a little bit of that, as I like to do. And more stylized faces, getting really weird with some of these nose shapes. Long one. Yeah, different styles of everything. But that's great, I don't know. Sorry. I'm blocking everything. I should make myself smaller, or I should make myself disappear. I don't know. Probably don't need to have this in here because this was me helping a friend with his project. So, you guys won't know what it's about or anything, so don't worry about it. Back to more kind of hybrid comfort zone stuff, getting into some angular faces and some mechanical stuff, which, why not? I like this. I like some of them. It's so squished with his goggles. Looks like a weird, I don't know, Digimon character. And then, of course, the one you might know about, the skin video. I got to come into doing the skin video right after doing that class, so I was feeling pretty fresh about my ideas for painting skin tones, obviously, especially on faces. But if you can handle the skin of the face, you can probably handle the skin of anywhere on the body, because the face is the one where it has the most climate zones. You get like the moist areas, the dry areas, the areas with hair, the areas catching light, the areas not catching light. It's a good place. You even get some surface scattering, some cartilage, some bone. Also from the video, if you saw the video, you might have seen some of this. I was really happy with how that video came out, especially because I wasn't doing art too actively. So it always makes me a little bit worried to do a video when I haven't been doing much art. But usually it works out just fine. You just gotta believe. So moving right along, we're just like zooming through it. This just gets into the class after that, the post-realistic digital painting class. So that is the third Brainstorm class I did in 2022. I'm going to do the same ones this year. So the order might be different though, but yes, this class was a lot of fun as well. We started out with a lot of food paintings. Obviously, the main thing talking about here is just creating a color feel. So yeah, sushi, all that stuff. Once again, just doing quick food studies to talk about post-realistic digital painting techniques, and even doing environment stuff, which once again, it's all about minimizing, simplifying stuff. That's what post-realistic digital stuff is all about, at least for me. When I say post-realistic, it just means finding ways to heighten the feeling of realism while actually lessening the amount of information that you're showing, which is a fun concept to really think about with art. I think about it when I did my shadow video. I think about it during a lot of videos, how you can create a heightened sense of reality by doing less. It's a very important thing. So there you go. What you painting over there? Just a snooping little cloud in the background. Anyway, oh, more clouds. Great. A little demonstration of some handwriting as well. I'm a big fan of artist block type handwriting. Obviously, I'm big on my own handwriting. I like writing to look very aesthetic and everything like that. And speaking of aesthetic, here's some buff dudes to look at. It's more stuff from the class. The class goes over a lot of different things in order to get a full breadth of post-realistic ideas. So we go through a little bit of everything in that class. Materials, people, everything. Oh, some wooden blocks. It's experimenting around. And look at that. It's a little spoon. It's for Spoon June. Once again, in case you're wondering where we're at in things, this is during June. And it's pretty abstract, when you really zoom in here, like the stuff you're working with mentally is more so just like, okay, I need some bounces of color. I need some highlights on one side. I'm just going to indicate that there's a lot of stuff going on, but not actually paint much of that stuff. And this is a lot of, I cheated and actually, oh, look, there's a gap here. There's a lot of just copy and paste. You can see the line where I copied and pasted these, things together just to make it a little easier. Some seam lines. But it's fine when you just see it. You don't notice those seam lines, right? It's fine. And yeah, a little bit of chaos. I saw someone in the Discord doing some styles that looked very similar to this. And I was like, oh, I want to try doing these kind of very deliberate line-based, almost like contour line hatching things, very alien-esque. It's fun times on the Discord. Anyway, more faces, abstractions of faces. Love me some big ears. This looks, now that I see it, this looks like the one villain from Fairly Odd Parents, except he's more bald here. I feel like I could make a realistic version. When I see the way the head is shaped, I'm like, oh, he's kind of got that ear that's like below the curve. Yes. What's that guy's name? I don't know. Something like Crocker or something? Whatever. We got more faces, exploring once again. A lot of flow, a lot of movement, a lot of expression. I kind of like what's happening here. But yeah, fun times. All right, I guess we're already at Chroma Core time. So during the first days of Chroma Core, I was hanging out in that Discord and obviously had to stream here and there. So I would be painting just nonsense, just weird paint exploration, abstract garbage. So there's a little bit of that. I actually like this one a bit. Once again, this was just, while we were doing that first week of Chroma Core, just hanging out with people. I like his triangular lens goggles anyway. It's fun. Now this one, I probably should have taken this out because I'm pretty sure this was a paint over of someone else's sketch. I don't know if it was a painting or a sketch. I don't remember that much. You got some butts. Little tiny butts, which I always say 20, whatever year it is, it's the year of the little tiny Hank Hill butt. Whatever's going on with these little butts. If you've never drawn a very tiny butt, I recommend it. It's a good time for you and all of your artist friends. This That's nothing special. Once again, just waiting for a chroma core thing sitting around during a stream. Yeah, Stuart I have no idea what the context is for any of this stuff. Just once again, this was chroma core time, so I was getting minimal sleep and just kind of very chaotic. Got some hands, always fun, always worth practicing. If there's two things you want to practice to be a character person, it's just faces and hands. You can kind of make a mess of the rest, but if your faces and hands are extra full of personality, you're good to go. So practice those. Practice some weird abstractions of human form. Loose, non-detailed forms that have detail in some spots but taper off. Like the bright orange. It's bouncing off my face. Good times. Talking about the sheer importance of your aesthetic typography. So kerning. Kerning is a big deal when it comes to having a very... People like to bring up my handwriting at times and be like, how do you make your handwriting look so good? It's a very deliberate control over kerning. And kerning just means the space between letters. So having kind of a more slightly spaced, deliberate, but consistent spacing, I think makes a big difference. So if you can kind of keep letters roughly the same size, but space them out in a very controlled way, even if sometimes the letters aren't quite perfectly lined up, it tends to feel pretty good. So that's my typography hack of the day. Yeah, more hands, fun hands. I'm enjoying some of these hands, honestly. Hands are great. Oh, little robots too. A little robot action. One goal I had during one day of the year apparently was to really settle something that had been bugging me for a long time, which is orcs. Because I always found the teeth sticking out to be the most difficult part aesthetically to make look good. But in order to combat all of the kind of shapes that are happening with the teeth sticking out, what I thought was a good solution was to heavily simplify the whole eye area, so into just one continuous flowing shape, and then even just kind of almost taking away the cheeks and bringing up the bone into just kind of one round shape that then just comes straight into the chin. I thought that helps because simplifying it that much gives you a little bit of wiggle room to then have teeth that are doing this protruding stuff without just having it feel too cluttered. At least in my brain, that made sense. But anyway, a little bit of that. I don't know what this guy was, just practicing different painting techniques. A lot of gradation going on there. Once again, just simplifying, practicing different painting techniques, mainly for the Discord. There's only one Brainstorm class left, and that's the abstract design one, which is also one of my favorites. They're all my favorites, honestly. I look forward to each of them, and I kind of keep developing them and really just getting more and more excited to do each of them. But the abstract one is probably the most, unexpected one for a lot of people. It's the most different, out there one, and I have a lot of fun with it, honestly. Now, these could be better, and once again, the expectation of doing abstract stuff is not to have it be perfect every time or anything like that. It's more to raise your awareness for design things. So I can easily look at this and be like, these design elements in here don't really complement each other very well. There's a lot of similar sizes repeating, and there's a lot of kind of mimicry of certain movements repeating. But that's good. It's good to just kind of make stuff and be able to analyze it. I really like that aspect of doing abstract art. Yeah, it's a lot of this stuff, fun stuff. Exploring techniques for doing them. I really like getting into these hyper smooth ones that have a lot of very subtle gradients and then a couple little pokes of some harsher stuff in one spot. Really controlling focus. It's a lot of fun. This one, yeah. I had some great times doing these, honestly, and they're just so relaxing to do. This was probably the one that I kind of spaced out the most on, just kind of really let myself just sit around, listen to music, and just kind of noodle around and try to make it have some interesting qualities going on. It's a little bit secondary bright red light is always fun as well. So abstract art lets you focus on very specific things. So it's like for this one, my focus in my brain was contrast. So hyper low contrast in a lot of it with a couple spots of very high contrast. And you can kind of practice whatever you want with abstract stuff, which is one of the main reasons I love it. I don't know what this was. Just did maybe a stream. Looks like it could have been a stream or something. Maybe it was class stuff. Don't know. But we're getting closer to the end already, so don't worry. You might remember my self-portrait video. This was the quick little idea sketch that I, started it with before I recorded the video. I was just like, yeah, something like this. That makes sense. I could do it. It's the first idea I had. It's the one I went with. I didn't do a whole lot of exploring ideas. I was just like, yeah, I know I can make this work. And of course, here's the result, which, I was pretty happy with. I think it's pretty fun, pretty different than a lot of the stuff I've done. And I certainly had a good time making this whole internal thing. And it looks like I'm coming up at the end of the year. So I did that. I didn't really do much else for November, December, just kind of taking it easy. But I did do a little bit of robotic stuff to close the year out. Same old stuff. Let me actually move some of these and remove myself. You know what? I'll just disappear for a moment. There we go. So, a couple different ideas of more so focused on torso, head, and limb relationships and potential mech stuff. There, I'm back. So I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. We're at the end. Pretty painless, pretty light. I think I rambled about it way more than I should have. But that's fine. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time lecturing everyone about different other topics. I know people were saying I'd probably just fill all of the gaps in not having much art by just talking about movies and stuff like that. But I'm not going to do too much of that. I do think it was a great year for movies, TV shows, even anime. We had the Atlanta finale. Atlanta's my favorite show of the past decade, I would say. Just love Atlanta. But yeah, we even had Andor was amazing. Unexpectedly, I did not expect Andor to be one of my favorite shows of the year, but it was. It's amazing. I loved it. And there were just so many good shows this year, and good anime too. Oh man. I'm watching the new Gundam, Witch from Mercury. I'm loving it. It's great. I'm watching Chainsaw Man. Loving that. That's great. Obviously, Cyberpunk Edge Runners was amazing as well. Movie-wise, there was just so much good stuff. And don't listen to the haters. Avatar 2 was so much fun. I don't know why people are obsessed so much with the idea that movies need to have some gripping, groundbreaking, original story. It's okay to rely on a lot of archetypes, a lot of just familiar storytelling principles, and just transport you to a different world with different stuff and just unique things. It's tried and true as a story, but it works, I think everyone could get a little bit teary-eyed, thinking about swimming with their own Tolkien in the ocean. Everyone wants a Tolkien best friend. But no, it's just great. I don't know. I had such a just visually, emotionally pleasant time watching it that I just feel bad anytime someone says bad stuff about it, because it's why? It's just enjoyable. It's just nice. It's just pleasant. But one last thing really quickly. I mentioned Chainsaw Man when I was, rambling about anime for a moment. I just wanted to mention I got my very own Denji. In case you don't know, I adopted a new shelter cat. And we named him Denji because, well, he's just a cuddly little boy that is very aggressive and violent. And he was a mess. He was a mess when we found him in the shelter. He had fleas. He was cold. He had an infection. But he's delightful. And you know what? I should just go get him. I'll show him to you. He's a great little boy. Let me go get him. All right. So this is Denji. He's up to 6 pounds now. Supposedly he's a year old. But who knows? Anyway, we absolutely love him. Sorry, he's a little sleepy. He just woke up. But he's great. He's great. And he's Doing pretty good with our other cat as well. Yeah, it's fun in here, right? It's an exciting place. So Sochi's still doing amazing. That's our other cat. She's delightful. You've probably seen her in various videos before. But this is the new guy. This is little Dingy. So he's delightful. All right, I'll let you go. He's so confused right now. But I guess I'll just wrap up the video with him. So thank you all so much for watching me, and I'm sorry about the lack of productivity in 2022, but at least 2023 is off to a good year of streaming and hopefully a lot of videos because I have so many to make. Guys, the backlog is ridiculous. It is getting just so obscene how many video ideas I have that I need to make. So no worries, there's no shortage of content. I'm learning more stuff every single month. I'm having new ideas and I just want to share them with you guys. So I'll get to that eventually. There we go. But thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel. We're just about at 1 million, by the way. I just had my 40th birthday, by the way. I'm very old. This is my first video since I turned 40. But, you know, it's great. Life's pretty good, and I look forward to enjoying the future with all of you. Should be it. So thank you all for watching, and thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for keeping this channel very supported, even though I haven't been as active. But there we go. All right, you want to say goodbye, Denji? Bye. No, he doesn't like that at all. All right, I'll see you guys.